Jock McMillan has a big problem, and he plans to deal with it head on.
Hello.
He's going toe-to-toe with these wild and aggressive young bull elephants, the stressed-out problem children of a small South African game park where McMillan works as a field ecologist.
We had a stressful day. They're very much more relaxed now than they were. Look at your face. It wouldn't take much to get them back into that stressed state.
McMillan keeps a wary eye on the most dangerous animal in the group, the biggest adolescent, named Ungama.
The one closest to us is Ungama. He's the remaining bull.
At the age of 17, Ungama has become very aggressive. And today he turns all 5 tons of him on his human visitors.
And I think we've just ended the interview. Get in that good.
McMillan's reaction to this angry teenager is to be aggressive right back.
Stop it now. Okay, just stop it. You're still not bigger than me. I let it build up to a point where I think it's reaching a peak. Then once he starts becoming aggressive towards myself in the vehicle, I'll respond in kind. No! No! Cut it out. Stop it. Just keep it.
McMillan developed his own special approach in response to problem behavior that has spread among elephants in many of South Africa's game parks. Angry young males like this one were attacking human property. This bull eventually had to be destroyed. Such aggression is not normal in elephants. It's the unintended result of human interference in elephant society. The problem first emerged several years ago in the much larger reserve of Pilanesberg, with a series of mysterious deaths. Pilanesberg is famous for its herds of white rhino.
And what was the problem?
Park manager Johnson Mayoka was disturbed to hear reports of more and more rhinos being found dead.
Well, initially we actually got alarmed and thought we could be losing rhinos through poaching. But after we realized that their horns were still intact, we realized that no, there is no poaching.
Pilanesberg's staff, led by park ecologist Gus Van Dyke, had to turn from being game wardens to homicide detectives.
A lot of the rhinos that were killed had obviously been injured for a long time and had taken a few days to die.
Van Dyke had a hunch that elephants might be implicated, but elephants are not normally known to attack other creatures.
Okay. And it's very easy quickly to see that there's no bullet holes, but when you started heading to this type of thing, then you started seeing the elephant influence. So you can see, look at that massive lesion on this animal's neck here. Elephants were suspected, but frustratingly we didn't have any concrete proof. Elephants were often seen to be associating with rhinos, but we hadn't seen any direct conflict.
The evidence mounted that elephants could be responsible. There was eyewitness testimony to elephant-on-rhino violence, if not actual killing.
We actually came across an incident where the elephant was actually pushing a rhino around and physically causing damage to the rhino.
Van Dyke placed a careful watch on the elephant herds. Every large elephant became a possible suspect.
We started then recording each individual's behavior on a rap sheet of sorts. On the 26th of April, elephant bull number 1 chasing white rhino, Matlobo Drive, ID photos taken. 29th of April, 3 days later, white rhino mortality, Mankwe Dam. 2nd of the 6th, aggressive interaction with tourist vehicle. The 8th of the 6th, aggressive encounter with tourist vehicle.
Adolescent bulls became the prime suspects. The investigators knew there might be a reason for unusual behavior among them, because many of these youngsters had suffered a kind of deprived upbringing. The herds they grew up in were not typical families. They were put together artificially. It all began in the 1980s in Kruger Park, South Africa's biggest reserve. Kruger was overcrowded with elephants and began culling them. The older, bigger animals were killed. The younger ones were spared, then dispersed to other parks. Many were transplanted to Pilanesberg, and it was these animals who now seem to have grown into troublemakers. Severely unsettled in childhood, the young males had turned angry and destructive in their teens.
Youngsters which were brought in here had to fend for themselves without any leadership, and as they grew up, they became sort of delinquent.
The juvenile delinquency had another cause: elephant biochemistry. Each troubled teenager exhibited signs of premature sexual development. They had entered a hormonal condition known in elephants as must. Each bull was pumped with testosterone, stressed out with sexual anxiety, and looking for a fight.
He starts picking himself up high on his front legs, chest out, shoulders up, head up, and he walks with a very confident gait. He starts dribbling urine, and so his back legs are continuously saturated. Then the temporal glands are also swollen and dribbling. See there, he's got temporal streaming. Okay, here you can see the classic must. You can see the wet back legs. See his high walk. They become really stroppy or unpredictably aggressive. It was Darwin, I think, who said there's no animal more dangerous on earth than an elephant bull in must.
The troubled teenagers were entering must far too early. There seemed to be only one likely explanation: the absence of older males to curb their youthful exuberance. The young bulls needed role models.
The bulls rely on a slow introduction to must. When he's in his middle 20s, he might just pop into must for a day or two and then be beaten by a bigger bull who's been in must for a while. Obviously, the Pilanesberg bulls at the time didn't have that. They were coming into must early and they were just having these unbelievably long, extended must periods. And those were quite clearly leading to rhino mortalities.
The case of the dead rhinos was closed. The worst of the culprits were condemned to death to protect the rhinos and everyone else. But removing the killer elephants didn't tackle the root of the problem.
We were reluctant, quite obviously, to just keep on culling problem elephants. The best option, we felt, was to try and normalize the societies.
The story moved back to Kruger, where it had begun. A new search was mounted there to find males of the right age group to ship to Pilanesberg as role models. But capturing large adult bull elephants is no easy matter. It required large doses of strong tranquilizers and some heavy lifting.
The guys who were moving the big cows started developing techniques and transport vehicles. A big bull is just so much larger than a big cow and all the calves.
It was a mammoth task because it was the first of its kind in South Africa.
It is disturbing to see an animal as large and as majestic as an elephant having his life disrupted. There's a real art in keeping the animal awake enough to prevent him collapsing within the truck and sedated enough to prevent him getting upset and throwing his weight around inside that container.
When they get to the other side, they'll be held in for a few days. Perhaps calm them down a bit after the trauma of a capture. This is a very traumatic experience for them, unfortunately.
In Pilanesberg, after an arduous journey, the big bull elephants arrive.
They arrive here in the early evening, and very quietly we open the gates and allow the elephants to move out in their own time. These bulls from Kruger just walked in and asserted themselves. There was a number of standoffs and challenges. The younger bulls would know immediately where they stood in relation to the Kruger bulls.
Since the introduction of these big bulls, we have seen a big change of attitude in these elephants. They become more calm,
Subdued by the older, bigger males, the juvenile delinquents of Pillansberg settled down. Van Dyke's team took samples of dung to see if the animals' hormonal levels had also subsided.
The hormonal work is really an opportunity for us to understand how his hormones relate to his behavior.
Under the influence of their elders, the adolescents were producing much less testosterone, and the tendency to enter must prematurely receded.
They'd come into must less frequently, less cyclic, and for shorter duration. And that is really what we were hoping to achieve. The thing that's clinched it for me thus far is the fact that we've had no more rhino mortalities from elephant. Simple as that.
The Pillansberg story has raised awareness of the problems that can arise from ambitious programs to manage wild animals.
Yep.
The lesson is now being applied at other game reserves.